So in this video, we are going to do face retouching in Lightroom. We're going to use AI features to speed up your editing, get fantastic results, and enable you to sync those edits across a whole shoot. So let's go into Lightroom now and have a look at the image that we're going to retouch. So here's the image that we're going to use, and it is of Rosie. Now I have chosen Rosie here on purpose for this Lightroom edit. It's a fairly good portrait. Rosie's skin is fairly good as it is. It's fairly well lit. We did have a reflector down here bouncing back up light. I'll just zoom in so you can see it. Look, there it is. You can see a nice catch light in the eyes. And this is the point I'm making about retouching in Lightroom. It's really quick. We can use the AI functions and it works really well, in fact, for images that are fairly good already and you don't want to do much work on the face. Actually doing it in Photoshop in a much more controlled way and layered way, it is better, but Lightroom 100% has its place in face retouching, and that's what we're going to explore now. Okay, let's click on the screen here to zoom back out, and the first thing that we're going to do is crop and spot. When you're doing retouching on faces, the first thing that you generally do all the time is spot out any blemishes, and I'm also going to crop it as well. So let's start with the crop. I'm going to click the crop tool at the top here. I'm going to keep the original ratio here, the original ratio that it was shot at, and I'm just going to come in slightly like that and maybe something like that, just a little bit, so the face is more prominent in the scene. Let's see how that looks by clicking the crop tool at the top. And that is not bad. We can always adjust that later on. And next, it's the spotting. So we're going to go into the face now and look for any spots and blemishes that we can take out. And for that, we're going to use the Heal tool, which is the classic spot tool that we've got in Lightroom. And that's up here in your tool strip. It's this one here. We're going to click on that. And in your properties panel here, you have modes. One mode is to remove, one is to heal, and one is to clone. We're just going to use the classic Heal tool because it works the best. We'll adjust the size of the brush in a minute. That's how you adjust the size, or you can use your mouse wheel over the image if you want to. And then the feather is about right there, yeah, 90 on the feather there. And then I'm going to come over to the image. I'm going to zoom in the navigator to 100%. And then we're going to look, I'm going to hold down the space bar, then I can click my mouse and move the image around and find some spots or blemishes. And here we go, we've got a little scar down here. Quite simply, I'm going to draw on that and release, and that has done a fantastic job indeed. And I'm actually just going to come over to my navigator here, click the drop down arrow and go in at 200%. There we go, that's better. We've got a little bit of a vein here under the nose, so I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller, and I'm going to remove them two areas there, come off the screen. Looks good to me. Come over to these eyes, there's a little bit of makeup there that we don't want, so I'm going to do that to get rid of that there. And it all looks all right. Like I say, Rosie's skin is fairly good in the first place, especially if it's well lit. So that looks all right to me. Oh, there's another little bit of black there, so I'm going to get that. There we go. Okay, let's go back to 100% view, and then over in the properties panel here, I'm going to hide that effect and bring it back, and hide it and bring it back. And you can just see, can't you, where that scar was, where that vein was. Let's hide, bring it back, hide, bring it back. And there you go, it just does a fantastic job. And I'm just having a quick look around just to see if there's any more. And I think that's okay, actually. Okay, let's click on fit here to fit back on the screen. And then I'm going to click on the remove tool icon here again, just to hide that panel. And the next thing that we're going to do is the basic edits on the raw file. We do that with every raw file before we go into like the heavy retouching, whether that is in Lightroom or whether that is in Photoshop, okay? So I'm just going to open up the basic panel here. And the first thing that I want to look at is actually the white balance, because it looks a bit yellow here. It doesn't look right. So I'm just going to go under white balance, click on this drop down and have a look at a few. What does auto do? Auto doesn't do much at all. It makes it a bit more yellower. I'll go down to daylight, and yeah, that's better. That's much more natural to as it was when I took the picture, which would make sense because I did take the picture around midday. All right, so we're going to leave the white balance on daylight there. Let's come down to the highlights and bring them down. Yep, good, good, good. You can see it's bringing in some detail into the dress. So let's just do that to about there. Then we're going to lift up the shadows. Yep, that's doing a good job. Let's lift this up to, oh, let's just do it full whack. I'm going to do it full whack for now. We can always adjust it later. Then let's add some whites into the picture. That looks very nice. And then just a bit of blacks in there just to give it a bit of contrast. I think somewhere around there. Okay, let's have a quick look at the before and after. Right now, let's click the before and after button here. And already, it's looking all right, okay? I'll just zoom in there. So already we've got a much brighter picture. As you can see, we've took the veins out of the nose there. We've removed that little scar there. And it's already looking like a brighter picture. Just with the basic editing of the raw file, I'm gonna go back to loop view. I'm gonna close the basic panel to be nice and neat. Now we are gonna go into Lightroom and use its AI functions. Let's go into Lightroom and do that. So what we need to do is use the masking tools in Lightroom to detect the face, etc. It's really easy. All we do is come over to the masking icon in the tool strip, which is here, and we click on it. And then down the bottom here, you've got something that says people, and you just saw there, it said detecting people. So if you've got 2 people in your picture, 3, whatever, it will detect each one of them people as long as they are clear within the frame. Now this is obviously very clear. It's one person, one face in the middle of the frame. It's quite easy actually for Lightroom's AI features. So all we do once it's detected the person is click on that person. And then what it does is it separates the face into lots of different sections. So you can see here, the entire person is ticked. And that's the first thing to notice, obviously. And what's in red there is where the mask would be created. So wherever it's red is where the mask's going to be created. And then I'm going to tick that off and then come away from the word entire person. Look, if I hover over the word, you can see it's visually showing you where that mask is going to be. And then it does the same for the rest as well. So if I hover over facial skin, there you go. It detects the facial skin, body skin, eyebrows, eye sclera, which I never even knew that's what it was called until Lightroom put it as a function. But basically it's the whites of your eyes. You've got your iris and your pupil there, lips, and you can see that Lightroom is detecting all of these things within this person, which is really, really cool and obviously makes your life a lot easier. Now what you need to do is look at your pictures and think to yourself, okay, what needs brightening up? Because we're in a mask, don't forget. So we can't start retouching like we can in Photoshop. But what we can do is start brightening, darkening, lifting shadows, changing colors slightly, etc. in all of these different individual areas of the face. Now the first thing that I want to do actually is I'm going to tick on the entire person, and then I'm going to come down to create mask like that. And as you can see, it creates a mask over the entire person. So a really good tip, and I strongly suggest you do this when you're doing Lightroom face retouching, is to name your masks. Okay, very easy to do. We click on these 3 dots here and we go rename. This one is the entire person, so we might as well call it that. Press enter or click OK, and now we've got a mask that's named entire person, okay? Obviously we need to click it to make sure that we're in this mask and we can work on it. And then you come down to your mask settings. Now there are lots of different things that you can adjust in a mask. And in fact, when it comes to these face retouching masks, it is the simple stuff anyway that you do. So I'm going to grab the shadows and I'm going to lift the shadows up to try and brighten that face just a little bit, just like that. And you know, in all honesty, I think that that's probably all we need. And see, look, if you start going mad, start going like that with the whites, it's not good. If I grab the exposure and do that, look, you can see that that is definitely not what you want to be doing, okay? I'm going to double click on the arrow here and it'll bring it back to 0. So I do actually think just a little lift of the shadows is going to be cool here. So I'm going to just do that, and then I can come over to the entire person mask and I can hide that and bring it back. You can see it's just slightly lifting up them shadows, which is making the entire person pop off the page. So I hope you're finding this tutorial helpful so far. If you are, come over and see us at theschoolofphotography.com, where we have got a whole in-depth face retouching course, which is an absolute must for any portrait photographer. We've also got courses for beginner photographers, people that want to learn how to use Photoshop, Lightroom, wildlife photography, macro, landscape photography, street photography, and many other courses that will help you master this beautiful craft and push your photography to the next level. So if you want to learn face retouching more in depth and photography more in depth, come over and see us at theschoolofphotography.com. Now we're going to go back into Lightroom and we're going to retouch the eyes and the teeth. Let's go. So we want to be going up to the mask icon again and opening that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on create a new mask. We're going to go down to select people again. We're going to click on the person again. And this time I'm going to tick off entire person, and I'm going to tick on eye sclera, and I'm going to click on iris and pupil. So if I now hover off this panel, you can see where it's red is where it's going to create a mask, you know. If I ticked off iris and pupils, you can see it's only going to do the whites of the eyes. So obviously make sure that you've got both of them ticked. You do have the option here to create two separate masks, but in this occasion and in most occasions, if you're doing the eyes, you will just be brightening the whole eyes. We obviously want the whites and the iris and the pupil all together. But there is an option there if you want to separate the whites of the eyes, you know, from the iris. And I'm just going to click create mask down the bottom here. And there you go. It creates a mask at the top. I'm going to click on the three dots. I'm going to go rename, and I'm going to call it eyes. Press enter. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into 200% here using the navigator, hold down the space bar, move it a bit more central. And here I have the eyes to adjust. Now for this one, we'll go for the shadows again. You know, eyes are really important in a portrait because obviously that's where you look straight away and you want that little twinkle in the eyes. So I'm going to bring the shadows right up to about there. Then it's the whites. Here we go. Let's bring them whites up. Now you could start mucking about with the blacks, but I'm not going to in this case. And also you could start mucking about with the exposure, but I think that's a bit too strong. So for me, let's just do the whites and the shadows there. Hide that effect and bring it back. Hide it and bring it back. It's definitely bringing a twinkle into the eyes, but we need to view the image back to fit on screen. We need to zoom out because sometimes it looks good here, and then when you zoom out again, looks like she's got two spotlights in her eyes, okay? So we are just going to click fit at the top to fit it on screen. It's not looking too bad. I'm going to hide that effect and bring it back. Hide it and bring it back. It actually looks all right. It really does give a sparkle in the eyes. If you do think that it's too strong, you do have an amount slider here that you can bring down or indeed bring up, okay? So I can even make it brighter if I wanted to. But I'm not going to because it kind of gets to the point where, you know, there's spotlights in the eyes and it's not appropriate for this actual retouch. So I'm just going to check once more. Let's hide and bring it back, hide and bring it back. That looks really cool. And the next thing to do is the teeth. Same thing, we go over, we create a new mask for the teeth. So we click on the plus symbol, we go select people, it brings up the options, we click on the person, and then in this case, we're going to go just for teeth. So we click on teeth, you check, obviously. It's got a nice red mask around the teeth, which it has. We click create mask. We click on them three dots. We rename it teeth, press enter, and we are good to go. Again, I'm going to zoom in to 200%, hold down the space bar, move it to around there. Now you can see here that the AI features has not quite got all of the teeth. So what we can actually do is add to this mask to make sure that it's got all the teeth. Very easy to do. We come over to our teeth mask, we click add, and in this case, we're just going to use a brush. So we grab the brush tool. You've got your options here of size and feather and flow and density, etc. Now in this case, we just want the flow and density to be 100%. So that means that it's going to give you a full-blown mask. You know, there's going to be no opacity in your mask. And then the feather, I might bring down slightly, like to about halfway, about 50 there. Come over to the teeth, use my mouse wheel to make it bigger and smaller. And then I'm just going to paint around the teeth there like that, just to refine it a bit. And in fact, I know I just said about the flow and density, I'm going to just take it down a bit, just so that it's like a softer edge. All right, I'm just going to take them two down just slightly like that. Okay, there we go. And then I'll paint in there, you can see that it's better. I can do it in softer strokes, shall we say. And that looks all right to me. So now I'm going to come down to the mask effects here. And well, this one's simple. You just want to add some whites. You just want to whiten the teeth up. Could play with shadows again. Yeah, shadows are all right. We will lift them shadows up. But in fact, you're adding whites into that teeth, aren't you? So we'll lift that up to there. I'm going to go to fit on screen again. It's probably a bit too much, as a matter of fact. Let's hide that and bring it back. It's all right. That's fine, to be honest with you. I'm going to maybe overdo it a little bit. I can bring the amount down. So I'll bring it down to 70. And there you go. That's the teeth done. Now what I can do is come over to the masks, all of the masks, and hide them all at once, which is this eye symbol at the top. So if I click on that, that's all the masks hidden, and that's brought back. So that's no masks at all, and that's with the mask. And you can see it's just a little lift, isn't it? It's just a little sparkle there, which is great. I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking it needs some sort of color grading. The colors are quite balanced. It's white and yellow, flower in the background, etc. But I think that we need some yellows in the highlights. That's what I'm thinking. Yellows in the highlights, just to bring it all together. Now that will be done under the color grading panel in Lightroom, which is this one here. So I'm going to open up that panel. I'm going to come down to highlights here, click on this circle in the middle and bring it up just slightly, very, very slightly up into the oranges / yellows. Do you know what? And I think I've done it all right there, just straight away. But I'm now going to click on this dot to the edge, and I can actually move it around and play with these colors. So you definitely don't want it to be green like that. But around about here is really nice. It's just bringing it all together. Okay, let's hide that effect and bring it back. Yeah, and look at that. It just brings it all together. It's a very slight touch, but all of them slight touches make all the difference. So let's hide the color grading panel and let's look at the before and after by clicking the before and after icon at the bottom. And there you go. That's the original raw file, and this is the retouch in Lightroom. So I'm going to click on the face, not that much though. Let's go back to 100%. Here we go. And look at that difference. The eyes are sparkling. The teeth are a little bit brighter. Now, when you're looking at the two together now, it doesn't look much brighter, but it is. I think that slight touch is going to work. You can always, if you want to, refine it further at this point. So I could go back to loop view, go back into my masks, click on the teeth and add some more whites to them, maybe like that. Okay, hide the masking panel again. Go back to before and after. That gives it a little bit more. Yes, 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 I like that. Click to full screen, and there you go. That's the before, and that there is the after. So that is retouching in Lightroom. As you can see, it's quick, it's easy, it uses its AI features to speed up your editing, and like in any other Lightroom edits, you can sync that across other photographs, a whole shoot, or whatever you want to, which will really speed up your workflow. Now, the downside to doing it in Lightroom is that it is less controlled, and you do need someone to have fairly good skin in the first place to enable you to do it in Lightroom and to do it that quickly. If you do need more control, You have to use Photoshop because there you can use separate layers, do things in stages, remove things, add things, and you have much more control over the whole process when you're doing it in Photoshop. And of course, I teach you how to do that in depth over in my portrait retouching course at theschoolofphotography.com. So I do hope you found this helpful. Please leave a comment. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. You also need to help me out by liking the video, subscribe to our channel. Like I said, leave a comment, engage with this video, because the more you engage with us on YouTube here, the more we can bring to you. So I really do need your help with that, and thank you in advance. And remember, if you want to learn photography properly, come over and see us at theschoolofphotography.com.